Hold on a second. You want me to put the light on? You want me to put the light on? Hold on. Go ahead. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? It's Labor Day weekend. I'm StellaRoseAllDay. If you are new to my channel, welcome. For people who return and watch my lives, thank you for doing that. Oh, trigger warning that this is an adult conversation that we're having. So we talk about things that are very dark sometimes. And so trigger warning that if you can't handle topics like people, dying or being unalived or sexual assault, then this is not for you. But if you can handle it, welcome. So, okay, where are we at with everything with Aaron Carter? So I just have this really, really, really weird feeling, and like when I get feelings like this, it's like gonna happen type of thing. But I don't want to have this feeling because it's not. I just feel like, and I hope that I'm wrong, I just feel like they're going to try to blame it on the brother. Listen, I know that the brother, people can have their opinions on the brother. You're you're welcome to have your opinions on the brother. Okay? Just because I always stick up for Aaron because I'm advocating for him. I'm advocating for him in a legal sense because he was killed, okay? They ruled his death an accident because they accidentally forgot to prosecute the people who killed him, okay? So, if you look at Lou Pearlman's history, because the music industry, they really only want the boys, okay? If you look at like who made the money, it was always the boys. What girl group ever made it forever and ever and ever like the Backstreet Boys? None of them. I mean, you had Diana Ross and the Supremes, but then she later just became Diana, and then you had Destiny's Child, and then it was just Beyonce. So I don't know if they just don't pay the artists what they're supposed to, or they don't, and they just want to keep like the main person or what. But the girl groups, they never work out. With the boy groups, what they do is they abuse the boys because they dominate. Like if you've ever seen like two dogs hump each other, it's because they're establishing who's the alpha male. And that's why I think that Michael Jackson assaulted Aaron Carter, and he was like, no, that's not going to happen. And then after that, basically, after that happened after the 30th anniversary concert. And because he was flying in Michael's plane. I mean, the first red flag is his parents were flying commercial. Why wouldn't Michael want his parents to be with him? Why did he want to spend alone time on the plane? I think that Michael Jackson was molested probably by his dad or somebody in the industry. And so when he saw Aaron Carter, and like when Aaron Carter sang his music, like even from the time he was 6 or 7 years old, from the video footage I've seen, what it looks like to me is that when Aaron sings and he opens his mouth, it's like every part of his being just comes alive, and it's just like It's just something that you can't ignore, you know? It's like every part of him is just absolutely radiating, and it just, the talent is just immense, and it was like nothing anybody ever seen before. And so Michael Jackson was threatened by Aaron Carter, and they downplay Aaron Carter like he was nothing, like he was a nobody. But if he was a nobody, why are you fighting over his stuff? And after, anyway, wait, the thing is like, I think they're gonna blame it on the brother, because they're gonna just do everything they can just to keep the cover up going. So like, okay, you know Monique Figueroa's case? So I located her remains, I turned it into the police, I documented that I turned it into the police, I notified the dad, and then all of a sudden the detective that was in retirement wanted to come out of retirement. All of a sudden she came out of retirement, and she's back. And oh, all of a sudden now the two people that killed Monique Figueroa are dead. Yeah, they're dead because they don't want to pay me the reward money. There was a $20,000 reward for the information leading to the arrest and conviction of her no body homicide, okay? Yeah, because they're not going to blame it on anybody. That's why they call it a no body homicide. No body, no evidence, no crime, no conviction, no prosecution, and um hold on. I forgot to filter my chat. You have to be a member to chat in my live. So I just feel like they're gonna blame it on the brother because he's already in trouble. When you know that the brother's in trouble when the only thing you hear about him is what happened in court with him and Melissa Schumann. You don't really hear too much about what happens with Ashley. You don't really hear too much about what happens with Shay, but you always hear about what happens with Melissa, because they know Melissa's not going to stop. Melissa's going to go the whole way. And I feel like you don't hear anything about the brother at all, except for he's over in another country performing. They don't have him here. So my point is like, even with Monique Figueroa's case, they know who it is, okay? You don't do that kind of work, and you don't do that kind of detective work and not find the answer. Monique Figueroa's detective was hired in 1986 on the force. So by the time Monique went missing, she was already in 28 years. And you know what I tell you about the 25-year mark? You know what I'm saying? So what are you doing working in law enforcement for 28 years as a homicide detective if you can't solve a crime? Hello? If really you can't solve a crime after working there for 28 years, then you need to go, okay? But it's not that they don't solve them. It's that they solve them. They don't prosecute, okay? There's a difference. And everybody knows, and maybe you don't, but if you don't, I'm going to tell you right now, they were very lackadaisical with prosecuting down in that area, because that's where it's cartel country, okay? So so it's kind of like they're just going to blame it on the brother, I feel like. The next thing you're going to hear is that they're going to arrest Nick. And I can tell you right now, he did not kill his brother. You can have your opinions about Nick Carter all you want. I understand that, you know, he's being accused of sexual assault, and that very well may be true. Okay? He very well may have done that. He was in the right environment to make it happen because he was portrayed in the media as somebody who was, you know, supposed to be a heartthrob or whatever, and there was five of them. But that whole industry, they they abuse the boys because they dominate them, and if they can't dominate them, then they get rid of them. As talented as Aaron Carter was, he never reaped the what he was never compensated for his talents. And I think that's like with people. Oh, sorry, my tablet. That's what with people who he just got shafted. And I don't believe the story that he made $200 million and his parents spent all the money, because you can't prove where Robert Carter Robert Carter or Jane Carter spent $185 million. So I know that they bought houses down in Marathon, but the property today, even if they paid whatever that property was worth today, you still can't account for the accounting that they went through. Aaron he started at the age of 6, but he didn't really start making any kind of money until he was 9. And his career was over by the time he was 15, because so he went to the 2001 September 10th concert in Madison, no, what is it? Madison Square Gardens in New York. The 30th anniversary of the Motown is basically what it was. And like Michael Jackson singing I'll Be There, which was a song that was written by Berry Gordy Jr., because that's the first cousin of Jimmy Carter. Okay. Because they shared the same paternal grandfather. Anyway, so he wasn't in the limo ride with Macaulay Culkin, but look what happened to Macaulay Culkin. He did Home Alone, that Home Alone series, and then after that, like, you don't hear from him. And like he seemed like a troubled person too. And like even Wade Robson said, you know, yeah, I stuck up for Michael Jackson, but I felt like I didn't have a choice. They went ahead and they did the documentary about Neverland, and then they made HBO take it off of their live roundup. It's like, okay, so basically, you didn't hear Aaron's songs on the radio because anytime they were not going to give him an audience to say anything. Like, do you see like how when Kanye West went ahead and said they killed Aaron Carter? Okay, well, he said that in like 5 seconds, and it got like how many thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And so, because he's got a huge audience. So could you imagine if they did that for Aaron, the stuff he would expose? Because Aaron was exposing the industry, okay? Yeah, he was exposing his brother too, but if you read the chapters that I wrote and I posted, you'll see that it's basically an industry thing, okay? So he was exposing the industry. And they know that they're going to have to blame it on somebody. So I just feel like they're going to blame it on Nick Carter. Because they've already done that with the book that they published on Amazon on November 4th, saying exactly how Aaron was going to die. They published it before Aaron died. They're instead of like the person at Sony who's a lawyer, so he'll never get into trouble. Okay, he'll never, that guy, hell would freeze over before that dude was gonna get in any trouble, because one thing lawyers know how to do is get out of sticky situations. Because anytime you throw legal up, It's a block, okay? So the thing is like, sure, I don't really care if what people have to say about me, because I'll tell you one thing. At least I don't abuse people. At least I don't break into people's homes and steal their stuff, okay? Melanie and Angel Hawansky and Jovan Williams and Little Perk and Check the Star, okay? And Momo with the open safe and Flacco. No, at least I don't do things like that, okay? Anything that I have to say that people don't like, it's because they're in on it and they don't like the fact that I'm exposing them and I'm shining a light on it, and they're going to have to be held accountable for not having a soul. Melanie to me has no soul. I don't know how anybody could run around the world and act like that. I don't know if she just lost her soul because every time you have sex with somebody, they take a little piece of your soul away. So, I mean, maybe she just doesn't have any soul because she was forced into prostitution to be able to make a living, which has to be the hardest thing for any woman, to be, have to use their body in order to get by in life. But, and I think that, as far as Nick Herder being a serial rapist, well, okay, here's the thing. So, like, he was performing at how many concerts over and over and over and over and over again for years and years and years and years and years. You don't think that he's not going to get that thrown in his face every time he turns around? Okay, of course, that was the image they were. That's what they wanted. They wanted the women to throw themselves at Nick Herder. Do I think that he took advantage of women? I do. I mean, from the information that I've reviewed, yeah, I do. I do think that there were instances where that did happen, sure. Okay. And I'm glad that it's finally being addressed in a court of law. But it shouldn't have to be like all of the people who stick up for Aaron, or who advocate for the women should be harassed like they do, like the gang does. But they're working for Sony and Disney, and that's what they do. That's what they do. That's their job. That's what I'm saying. Like, the people, they have no soul. You have no soul. You have no soul to, like, Melanie literally knew that Aaron was dead and went and stole his wallet and then left, and then had Chris the realtor call 911 because he was already dead. That's what happened, just so you know, okay? Those crime scene photos were taken. Aaron was dead in the closet, okay? And she went ahead and pickpocketed his coat and then went to Louis Vuitton the next day, all right? She knew he was dead and she had Chris the realtor call 911. And the cops, they didn't want to go in there. They didn't want to go in there because their body cameras were on. Okay. That's why they didn't make contact. That was just part of the whole BS narrative. But they killed Leslie, they killed BJ, they killed Aaron, and they can't kill Nick, but now they're going to trap Nick. That's what I think is going to happen. I mean, I just have this feeling because they can't expose Michael Jackson. The whole company, the music side of it will collapse. The music industry is already like walking on eggshells because of AI. You don't need musicians like you used to. You'll always have it. You'll always have it. It's not like self checkout is going to replace, like, all of the registers, but at some point, everybody is replaceable. And the more that, like, the liability is out there, the more they'll move towards technology because it's less of a liability. And I wouldn't even feel comfortable going to concerts anymore. Like, I was thinking about today, like, about Trump, and like he literally turned his head like that at the same time that the shot they went to go shoot him, he literally turned his head like that and it saved his life. I mean, look how bad they hate him. We're like, okay, so like the Secret Service cleared the body and had the body cremated, and like the parents hired lawyers because and right after that Biden stepped down. Of course Biden was going to try to kill him. He can't kill him any other way, so they tried to take him out. They tried to silence him. So now that you've read like the chapters that I've posted about Aaron Carter, doesn't it make more sense to you that the real problem started with Michael Jackson and Aaron Carter? Doesn't it make more sense why they didn't give him an audience? Because they didn't want him telling people, yeah, Michael Jackson, molested me. Michael Jackson abused me. My manager abused me. Everybody in that music industry gets abused. The boys get abused, okay? Because they got to dominate them and control them. And if they can't, they get rid of them. As talented as Aaron Carter was, okay, and then they lie and said that he made $200 million. Okay, he might have made that, but he made it for Sony because they didn't give it to him, okay? Then they made him go out there and lie about his parents spending all that money. Aaron didn't have the money for that long. By the time he was 18 years old, there was only $4 million left. Show me where the Carters were on the lifestyles of the rich and famous with Robert and Leach, okay? It didn't happen. They never had that money. They lied. But they own the media, and their whole existence relies on telling stories, okay? So they're not going to stop telling stories. And like I said, the brother's in court, and it's being addressed with the sexual assaults. But aside from that, I'm telling you, he did not plan the murder for Aaron. That was if you're going to kill somebody, if you're going to end somebody's life and take them out like that, that's a humongous risk, okay? That's not something that like was done in a split second. That was premeditated since 2019. But they always were targeting him just because they knew what happened to him. Like I said, you don't hear from Macaulay Culkin at all. And they said, yeah, we're going to make the biopic about Michael because we want to, have people remember him as something besides a child molester. Well, it's their money and it's their narrative and their company. And if that's what they want to sell it, that's what they want to sell it as. And the people who can't see beyond the smoke and mirrors or the lies, well, you pray for those people, okay? Because they don't know how to, they're not survivors. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to know the truth, you have to be a survivor. You have to be a warrior. You have to be able to not let people sucker you into their BS, because when you buy into their narrative crap, BS crap story, okay, you're basically supporting them and their families. And I don't support people who treat people the way that they treat people, okay? Like with Cassie and the videos of Cassie and everything, and you don't, Pete Diddy's, he's probably on the same island with Jeffrey Epstein, okay? Like, I seriously do not think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, okay? I think Jeffrey Epstein's on a different island, all right? Now, he'll be isolated and he'll have to stay on that island, and that may be like death to him because his livelihood was taken away with the mansions and all this and all that. But anyway, I was just wanting to see, because I seen that there's been hundreds of reads already, which is remarkable because the stories were only posted like, about a week, I think. And most of the like yesterday was the Michael Jackson chapter, and today was the BSB gang stalkers. And then like I finally decided, okay, I'm not gonna do any more because we're on vacation with the holiday or whatever. And then it just hit me out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna blame it on the brother. Because they can't, okay, so here's the problem that they're having now. The medical records, Aaron Carter's medical records do not support the narrative that he was a drug abuser or an addict, or he had severe mental problems. So they ran into a problem there. They can't prove that they can't blame it on the dentist. And there's no medical records that support their narrative. So now they're going to have to blame it on somebody because too many people talked. So Melanie essentially was an accessory to the crime, okay? She knew he was dead, and then she went and robbed him anyway. And that's just a person that doesn't have a soul. But Angel Hawansky was running that on the ground floor because she was right there in Palmdale. So she was the one that was locked in with the neighbors and no one in the birdies, all right? Because she was right next door. And the realtor too. Because what they did is they trapped Aaron. It was a trap murder, okay? So they're not, Angel Homansky is not going to want to go down, especially because she still works for that company that they sell BS narratives. And Lori Knight already has a dried up income, and her client's not going to make a comeback. And so they feel like, well, at some point they just have to cut their losses. And so they're going to turn around and probably just blame it on Nick Carter. And when they do that, I'll be more than happy to send his criminal defense lawyer copies free of charge of the books. If they can't print them off on medium.com or whatever, to help him and aid in his defense, because they're going to try to blame it on somebody. But again, I'm not sticking up for Nick Carter, okay? I'm just saying he didn't kill his brother. For the plan to be that big, but they'll get away with it because Adam 22, who's Adam Grand Mason, his father, Philip Grand Mason's brother, Joseph Grand Mason, served under 3 presidents' administration, okay? So but they don't have Trump on their side. So things will change once Trump gets in office, because the Democrats will lose. And I already started pumping Congress the information about Aaron Carter and about the Motown, Sony, and connection. And now you got Matthew Perry's story, who's the same story as Aaron Carter. Okay. So what's the difference between the ketamine queen and Melanie? What's the difference? 5 years, maybe? I would say the ketamine queen looks a little bit older than Melanie by about 5 years. But maybe she did hard drugs. I don't know if Melanie does drugs. She doesn't look like she does drugs. She looks like, I don't know. She looks like an octopus. And she's got to have her hand in everything. She would have learned that from Lori Knight. I think Lori Knight will probably legally get into trouble. I think Angel Holmansky will probably legally get into trouble. And, I don't think Lori Knight's going to be able to, bail herself out, because she doesn't have the monies to pay for proper legal defense. Look what happened to Tom Girardi, okay? Tom Girardi was once the best of the best of the best of the best, lived in a mansion. Erica Jane was Beverly Hills, Housewives of Beverly Hills, and then it all caught up with him. And he had to have a public defender a public defender, Tom Girardi, okay? He won the biggest class action lawsuit in history. Had to have a public defender. So the thing about karma is when you're on the bad road, it's a long, long, long road. I mean, we can't escape paying our karma debts. We can't escape it. It's just something that we have to go through. And like, I feel like whatever wrongs Nick Carter did, he's going to pay for them just like everybody else is going to pay for them. It just isn't going to be broadcasted in the media. You know what I'm saying? Because they own the media and they're not going to tell on their boss. So the other thing is there will be a paperback copy available by the end of the year, but it's not a priority to do that for the fans because the fans, I feel like you're getting the information. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can only do so much and have a life of my own as well. So I'm just saying, like, there will be a paperback available, but, you know, for the meantime, you're getting the best of it right now. And the book is done, but it's just, it's uploading it that takes a long time. I say that all the time. I told you that about War of Angels, the same thing. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I feel like they're definitely going to arrest the wrong person, and I feel like they're just not sure what they're going to do because they can't. The problem is they can't overcome wire transfer money, and so when wire transfer money is found, they have to blame somebody. And I can just say this right now that, and I've worked this case in and out day after day after day for going on almost 2 years. You can't, the only way you could pin it on his brother is if you made up evidence, which is why they may have said that they wanted to seize Aaron's computer, okay, from storage, and plant evidence. I just feel like they're going to set the brother up for something that he should not be charged with. But on the other hand, maybe it's what he has to go through to get away from those sick people like Lori Knight, okay? Who, like, I can only imagine what Angel Carter Conrad goes through, having to deal with such a mental case all the time. That lady just destroyed their entire family, okay? And I hope that Jane gets a ton of money and puts it in a trust for Bella so Bella won't have to worry because she doesn't have any parents now. It was like, what a curse all that was. I'm telling you, if you had to ask her today, she'd probably be like, it wasn't worth it. I lost my husband. I lost my kids. I mean, she didn't just lose her kids, like they didn't talk to her, like they killed her children, okay? I didn't know that Leslie died of heroin. Did you know that? It was heroin that killed Leslie, okay? Heroin that killed Leslie. And that's another thing too. That song Perfect Storm that I just watched it. I didn't even know about it. I'll share it on my community tab. It's a really cool video. But what a tragedy that whole Carter family is. But that'll just give you an idea of the industry and what it's like. And like, they've got to be miserable. They've got to be miserable. They've just got to make those people so miserable. Like, could you imagine, like, the women that want to, like, get justice for their case and, like, what happened to the brother? Imagine how miserable the brother has got to be right now, okay? Isn't making money like he used to. The band is pretty much done, okay? He's being turned down for contracts. And he's not even in the country. So they know that it's not going to make a comeback and that that's just basically dying off. So if somebody's got to take the blame, they're just going to put it on the person that's already bringing them down. That's my opinion. So I'm just saying if they do that, they're arresting the wrong person. That's all. Okay, my lovelies, I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, and I just wanted to document that's what I feel like is going to happen because the wire transfer money, they know that they can't hide it. So they're going to have to blame Aaron's death on somebody, and I don't know, they'll probably still kill off ATM Richie. They just probably will. Because, oh, and then Melanie's not going to get anything, so all of a sudden it'll be like, oops, well, I didn't know that I had sex with Taylor and he got me pregnant. It was just one time. It was just one time. Oh man, I'm so glad Jane's getting all of Aaron's money. Because you know what? It's going to the right kid, Bella. She's the one that needs it. All right? Make Taylor Helgeson pay for his own kid. But he will, you'll see. That charade won't go on much longer. You know what I'm saying? Melanie's going to be you thought she was desperate before. She's got to come up with $5,000, and that's just the beginning. Do you have any idea? That could go on for years. Years, 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 years. Why wouldn't you just spend $80, okay, to go get a paternity test done with Taylor Helgeson and cut your losses? And then she'll be like, oh, I didn't want to fight Jane for the money, so I just let her have it, and it's like, girl, why do you think that people can't see through your BS? All right. And it's like, if people can't see through the BS narrative that whole entertainment group sells, then that's on you. You know what I'm saying? That's on you. I can't believe I was ever somebody that actually believed what was on TMZ. Like, I used to actually, I used to have the app. And I used to go on there and I would read it until Aaron died. And I was like, so I get it, because at one point in my life, like when I would go on a vacation or whatever, when I would go to the airport, I would buy all the magazines in the airport shop, like the AOK ones or People or what. I used to buy them because I would read them while I was, flying. And now I'm just like, ugh, it's such lies. I would never buy that crap ever again. I don't even listen to iHeartRadio anymore. I hate everything like that just because I know what they did to Aaron. And I was like, you can't treat good people that way. Aaron did not deserve what happened to him. But he wasn't the only casualty, And it's like, maybe that's what happened to Jesse McCartney. Never know. You don't hear from him either. But it's always the boys. And Aaron was too good for this world. He was too good for this world. But anyway, after they're done arresting Nick, we'll have to come up with another way to document that, because then it'll just take a turn for the worst. So, I mean, that would just be a whole nother line of stories. But you'll see, he'll probably come asking me how I figured everything out, because he'll be in trouble and want to get out of it too. It's like, you're hearing it here first. They're going to blame it on him. Now I just am like, when I get a feeling like that, it's a feeling that it's one of those feelings. Like, I don't, like, when I got my dogs, when I bought the puppies, like when I got my car, or when I got the car before that, or when I walked into the house I bought, or the townhouse, or whatever. Like, it's one of those life-changing feelings that it's like, oh my God, oh my God, of course that's what's going to happen. Why I thought about it before, But then it must be because I'm finally like releasing all of this out into the universe about Aaron, which is always exciting for me whenever I get to release like the work that I have out. I'm like, whew, I feel so much better now that like it's out there and people can read it and they know exactly like how that industry works. And probably like confirms a lot of your suspicions, But it just hit me clear as day. I'm like, oh my God, it's the brother. They're gonna blame it on the brother. So that'll happen. I have that feeling. So that's it. I just wanted to say that. Because you know how I like to document everything. So I hope you have a good weekend, a relaxing weekend. And I'll see you when I see you. Namaste.